What have I done? I went to buy one vehicle from Copart. I end up buying 5. Hey people, welcome to my first ever video here on Now We Drive. Thanks for joining me. I'm very pleased you've taken your time to watch my video. Now, just as a bit of an introduction in regards to what this channel is going to be all about, a bit of background about myself. Always enjoyed cars, had loads in my time. I'm sure, like most of us who are interested in cars and stuff, we've seen things like wheeler dealers here in the UK. It's obviously quite popular. Big fan of Mike and Ed and the rest of the crew. Can't remember the new guy's name, but really good show. And I fancied giving it a bit of a go myself. Now, initially I started thinking about doing something a bit more vintage, maybe a Jensen Interceptor or a TR6, stuff from my childhood that I was really excited about maybe building. But some of these cars, they are a huge project, would take years and years and years. So what I decided to do, have a good look around, started looking on YouTube and went through hundreds of different channels, looking around, and the one overriding factor that, and word that I kept hearing was Copart. So I thought, well, what's this Copart all about? So the videos that I was watching, things like Cars for Paul, Auto Action Rebuilds in the US, Goon Squad, who are amazing, Salvage Rebuilds, a guy called Rob, there's another guy, there's loads. I'll come on to some of the other channels that I really like, but everyone was talking about Copart. So I signed up a Copart account, and I started to have a look around. Now, I thought, you know what? Let me get into this and let me go down and have a look at my nearest auction site. Now, I live up in mid Hertfordshire, and my nearest Copart sites were either Colchester up in Essex or Wisbech, which I think is in Cambridgeshire. So I had a good look around in for the Colchester auction, which was a few days' time when I was looking a few weeks back, and I decided that I would make a phone call. They said I was allowed to go and go and have a look at 3 cars. So now these were a few weeks ago and things have obviously happened, but you saw by my intro, I didn't buy one, I bought 5. And let me explain to you how I got to that point, which the wife's gone mental because our drive's not that big. To be honest, I haven't got that many tools. I didn't have. I've been buying tools to try and make the, get us to a point where I can actually get involved and fix these cars up. And that's why I decided to start small. So let's do some screen recording and let me show you the cars that I've actually had started to look at in Colchester. So here we go. So let's have a look at these cars. Like I said, I picked 3 cars out in Colchester, and the first one that I decided I want to have a look at, again, I said, you know what, let's not go too mad. Let's pick something that's nice and easy to repair, that's going to get me kind of just into the flow of Copart. So this is the first car I looked at. It's a 2012 Mini Cooper. Again, Cat N only, didn't want anything too nasty. As you can see, looks like a bit of front end damage, but as I've heard from Cars for Paul and a few other people say that it's really important you go and look at these things. Subsequently, I didn't on a couple of them that I bought, but we'll get onto that in a minute. So here's the first car that I actually had a good look at. So 2012 Mini. As you can see down here, a little bit of front end damage, not too bad. It's mostly grille and bonnet, as you can see. Front headlights gone. The bonnet is pretty mangled at the front. I thought, you know what, for the cost of a new bonnet, hardly at any point to repair, and the grille was pretty much totaled as well. Have another look over this side. Wait for the HD thing to turn up, which is not on this picture, but anyway, you can see that the grille is completely cracked there. The front fog is gone, and yeah, it's a bit of a state. So went down there. I did try to video it, but the guy, he was okay about it, but you know, I decided I didn't want to push it bin. It was my first visit, so I just thought, you know what, just leave it. So had a good look round. Watching a few of the I can't remember the guy's name, but Auto Action Rebuilds, which is in the US. He's allowed to walk around completely, unattended and see any cars he wants to. A few little things that he does that I really like. He looks at the oil, looks at the water, and he also gets in the car, starts it up, listens to it, makes sure that if it's a run and drive, it is a run and drive as it says. And I always put it in gear, first gear reverse, move it back and forward a little bit. Sometimes the spaces at Copart is really tight, but we did that, drove absolutely, I say drive, it moved back and forward all right. So that's what we did. Looking around the rest of the car, there was a few scratches here and there, and I thought, you know what, is it going to be a worthwhile purchase at the right price? I thought, you know what, it is. Oh yeah, there was, let me go back to that picture as well. A couple of scratches here, could be touched up, maybe buffed out, possibly, but it was a bit of a strange colour as it subsequently turned out. It was the Reef Blue, which is a metallic B30 colour code, and it's not very popular, which meant any parts I possibly could get were going to be maybe a little bit expensive, purely based on the fact that I would have to get them sprayed. So let's have a look at the next car. It's a Fiat 500. Now, the reason I went for a 500 is that I've seen many other YouTubers fix up these 500s. They look really simple to do, simple-ish to do if the damage is not too extensive. And I thought it, again, would be a decent first project car just to get, just to get me into the whole kind of Copart thing, which I was hoping was the case. So, 62 plate, 44,000 miles, and overall didn't look in bad shape. Again, went down to see the car, oil, water, drove back and forward, absolutely no problem. Started, engine sounded completely peachy. I was really happy about that. Overall, I did a quick summary that this wing was not repairable. Neither was the front bumper. The bonnet looked okay at the time, and we'll come on to what may have happened in the future. But yeah, the bonnet ended up not being in such great shape, which is probably due to Copart's rather, shall we say, heavy-handedness when it comes to sticking it onto the back of a trailer. But looking around, really super clean, tidy, straight car, really good. I thought this was an absolute goer at the right price. The standard for a Fiat 500, the handle had gone, which was a bit of a pisser when it comes to trying to get in and out the driver's side. But again, 20, 25 quid on eBay, it was a pretty simple fix, or was going to be. All the tyres were good, wheels were completely tidy, no, very minimal, if at all, curbing, and yeah, I thought it was a fantastic next project car. The third car that I was allowed to look at Copart in Colchester, the Nissan Juke. Now, two reasons why I'd look at the Juke. My daughter's just bought one, and a super car, really nice car to drive, smooth, quiet. She loves it. I've driven it a couple of times. Really nice car. Also, this one particularly stood out for me because, as you can see up there, 11,000 miles, which is nothing for a 16 plate. And I had to go and see this one because if you have let's go to the right picture. If you look at this picture here, you'll see that these doors are pretty nastily pushed in. Now, I was a little worried that there might have been a bit of pillar damage down here, which subsequently there wasn't. It was absolutely straight as it comes, and all it needed was two new doors, which I thought at the right price, this could be an absolute steal, because there is a ton of white Nissan Juke parts on eBay, and the doors, they are literally 4 bolts and a connector plug what you just take off. So I had a good look at that, and it seemed like a nice easy one to buy and flip. So there were the three cars I initially looked at. As my first foray into Copart, you can now see the three cars that I've selected or had selected and viewed, and I was trying to keep my bidding to only looking at those three and picking the right price. And obviously price is super important, but I wasn't going to get overly tied up with price, because for me it's a learning process. I'm a complete newbie at this, and please, understand that. And I would welcome any feedback in not only this but subsequent videos that I'm going to do in regards to my repairs and how I go about it, and mistakes that I'll obviously make in doing this. And it may cost me some money in the short term, but I'm hoping by picking the right cars, doing a little bit of homework, that it will subsequently be fun to do and also make some money, which would be great. It's not really a business for me, but it'd be good to actually turn a profit, obviously. Now, what I did with my very limited knowledge, and I'll be the first to say it, is the three areas that I wanted to put into place as a bit of a background situation. I pulled together a spreadsheet, which I'll show you in a second, which give me a bit of an idea using that kind of 30% downgrading of price from a auto trader or a eBay price of a car, which is normally for a Cat N, for example. So I put that into perspective and put it in my spreadsheet, which again will show in a second. I also had a good look at autoauctions.io. It's a great site. Everything that goes through Copart is on this site. And again, seeing some other videos that were provided on YouTube. Again, Cars for Paul did a great one on looking at this site, and also Auto Action Rebuilds as well. They were utilising this site to a great degree, and the reason they do that is to make sure that none of these cars have gone through before. Someone's bought it, taken it home, it's an absolute pig, and they've just put it through back into the auction. And I think it's really important to know that. If I'd have found that any of those three cars had gone through the auction, which they hadn't, I would have definitely kept well away. And thirdly, I use the DVLA site. Now, unlike the US, which has got Carfax, where you can type in a VIN number, sorry, my battery was going low there on my phone. You can type in a VIN number and it will give you the complete history of the car, where it's been serviced, any major issues with it, what's happened, last oil change, etc. We haven't got that. So what I can do, besides doing a full history check on it by paying for it, the free service, you can go to the DVLA website, put the registration number in, and it will tell you when it was last MOT'd and when it was taxed, to give you a little bit of history on the car, to see how long it's been maybe sitting at Copart for, or whatever reason. It gives you just some, formula to work out amongst that and autoauctions.io. And that's what I use. I'm sure there's maybe better ways to do it, and I'd welcome any feedback on that. But that's what I do. So I'll show you what I pulled together as far as a spreadsheet. You might think it's completely ridiculous, but I'll show you anyway. So have a look at my my spreadsheet that I put together. As you can see, it's pretty basic. Gives me just lot number, the category I was looking at, the reg, etc., etc. And as you can see here, my very limited estimation on what possibly the damage could cost. As you can see by the Duke, I thought it was going to be about 400 quid for a couple of doors. And I estimated about 3,750 as my maximum bid price. I actually, when I started doing a little bit more investigation, I actually upped that. I didn't put it on the spreadsheet, but I upped that to, I think I wrote down, 4,400 I was going to bid up to. And the blue Mini Cooper there, I thought we could sell it for about 3.5k. Maybe that was a little bit over the top, given it was a Cat N. I think it's going to be more like maybe 3,250 if it was in decent nick. And I said my maximum bid was going to be 2k. And then the white lounge, I thought the sale price was going to be about 4.2. Again, I think that was a little bit over the top, given it was a Cat N. I think that's more like maybe £3.5, and my max bid price was going to be £2,500. So I'm sure you're interested to figure out what I actually bid on and you know, what I won. Now, I won all three of those. I did go a bit bid happy. As a starter for 10, having 3 cars to work on all at the same time, the method in my madness was based on the fact that I could actually get a situation where if I could order the parts and they come in, I fitted them and sold them. It turned out to be a little bit more work than I wanted to do. But let's quickly flick onto the Copart page if I can. These are the prices that I paid, which is obviously out of the door. I only paid 41. If we now click on, oh, you don't need to see it. I paid 4,100, and with the fees, it was 4,626, as you can see. The Fiat 500, which again, I think I got it to 1,900. Let's have a quick look. I've made the screen a bit smaller on the capture because I don't want you to see the other 2 cars that I bought. So let me quickly click on the 2 so you can see. So the Duke, hold on, if I scroll, no, let's move the capture up a bit. Oh, I can't do that. Anyway, I can see it, 4,100 that I paid for it. And so the fees were pretty nasty, as you can see from Copart, but from anyone that does Copart, that's no surprise because their fees are completely astronomical. I paid $1,850 for the 500, which I thought was pretty decent, and I was unbelievably surprised to get the Mini Cooper for 1,300 quid, which, you know, given now I've got it and seeing the damage it's got, an absolute bargain. That was probably the best deal that I got. Now you start factoring in the situation with delivery. Now I found a really good guy on, there's a site where you can go on and they give you a load of bids on it. There's a guy called Amir, really nice guy. He's got like a double trailer and a double flatbed and a trailer. He can actually pick 3 cars up. So for all 3 of these, he charged me back from Colchester to my house, which was probably 50 minutes away. He charged me 320 quid, which I didn't think was that bad, to be honest. Now, should we talk about what happened after this, which is quite funny. So let me stop the video, do a new screen capture, and we'll go over the next 2 cars. I've showed you the whole screen on this one. These are the other 2 cars that I bought, both up in York. As you can see I'm sure you saw by my last spreadsheet, the John Cooper Works was on there, and I was looking at it because it's such a pretty car. So it's the top spec John Cooper Works, red roof, red wing mirrors, with the really nice sporty wheels, the Recaro seats, etc., etc. These things are super fast, and this is a particular car that I was actually wanting to keep, do up, and use as my daily driver. So I put down on my spreadsheet, maximum bid was eventually was 6.6. Now I couldn't justify going all the way to York to have a look at this, and I thought I would take a bit of a flyer at it and have a good look round. So let's have a look at it, shall we? Quick look at the additional information. The couple of things that I weren't overly happy about was the possible underside damage, which I wasn't too sure what that could be. But given Minis are pretty easy to work on, and even if I had to get in some additional help from a local garage, I thought it was worthwhile. I was looking on Auto Trader. These things go between the estimated retail value price, actually not dissimilar to what they're going for, anywhere between late 13s to high 15s for a 15 car. And this thing it really excited me. And even though I've got 3 cars turning up in a couple of days, and it was in York, when I know it was going to cost me a few quid to get down, I bid away. Me and this other guy bid. He dropped out at 5.9. I won it at 6 grand. It was on reserve. The seller came back to me. No, I want 6.6 because that's my reserve price. I went, no, I'm sorry, £6,000. That's it. He waited 3 or 4 days. He come back at 6.3. I said no, £6,000. Boom, done. And I think it was out the door about 668 or something. We will have a look in a minute. Let's have a look around the car. As you can see, it's at a proper front end shunt, but again, it's a Cat N, so you would imagine that there is no significant, well, there is no structural damage, just a little bit of a front end shunt there going on. Let's get to the next picture. Oh no, let's get to the next picture. There we go. As you can see, sides look pretty straight. These bits of tape worried me a bit. I'm not too sure why. Is it because maybe the side skirts had fallen off or something? Was a bit weird. Again, same down this side. This bit of tape. I was thinking, why the hell is it there? But the doors look straight. The back end was completely straight. And every time I looked at this car in the few days before the auction, I was like, I've got to have this. It's such a pretty looking car. Inside was a bit mucky, but I've noticed that a lot of the cars in York, and it must be something to do with the ground they've got there is like really chalky or clay based or something, but a lot of the cars are really mucky inside. But having a good look through around the car, it looks in great shape. It's a run and drive, which I was pretty happy about. Now the thing that surprised me a little bit is that there was this huge box of parts sitting on the outside. So I think it's the intercooler, isn't it? And the rad, that looked pretty bashed up. Loads of bits and pieces. It looked like probably the insurance company had, given that it's a 15 grand car, had taken all the bits off and tried to figure out exactly what was going on with the damage, and they subsequently wrote it off. And the one thing I really liked is, I'm not really a manual car fan, but it was a 6-speed auto, which, given that I'm in and out of town at London quite a lot, it made a lot of sense to get an automatic car. And I won it, and I'm super happy about that. And we'll get onto I'm going to do a video in the next couple of days when the weather turns, because it's been really, really crap in where we are, raining and pretty windy. I'll do a video, a bit of a kind of, not a reveal, but take the bits out. Let's have a look around the engine. And again, these videos are all about interaction with you guys, because any help I can get as a complete novice in this kind of thing, I would really appreciate, because this Mini is one I'm going to take a lot of time and effort and make make it my own car, and I want it to be completely sorted. So that's really important to me. But yeah, this is one that I was so excited about winning. If we look at the second one, sorry, so the Mini, the John Cooper Works was 6.7. So wow, their charges are just ridiculous. This is one I really shouldn't have bid on, but you know what? I don't know what you do when you're bidding on Copart, but if I'm watching the York one, I'll open up 3 or 4 of the lanes if there's 3 lanes, and York's a really busy one. So I open up a few of the lanes, and about 6 or 7 cars before the John Cooper Works come up, this Fiat 500 come up. And given that I'd already bought one, I thought, oh, the parts are pretty easy to get hold of. And this thing started at 500 quid. I put a bid in at 600. I don't know why I did, but I did. And no one else bid on it. And it's like, what? Why has no one bid on this thing? It's the 1.3 multi-jet diesel, I think it's called. It seemed in good shape. And yeah, it's a car that I bought. The problem I've got now is that now I've gotten back, and I'll do a video on this particular one, but I've noticed that the steering rack is actually snapped on this particular side of the car. So I tried to reverse it into my driveway, and I couldn't move it, and I had to jack it up and get me and the missus and my daughter to help me push it back. It's a real pain in the butt. And given the other 3 cars, the other 4 cars that I want to be working on, I really don't have time to do this. So I was talking to someone today, and I actually might just put this up as a spares or repair on eBay or Facebook or something. But it's a great little car. Engine seems fine. There is a couple of warning lights. One is the comes up with a airbag fault, and the other one is check engine. But I'm sure that's something to do with the with maybe some front end damage. I've not even lifted up the bonnet on this one yet, but it's one that I may or may not venture into. But after buying 5 cars on Copart and overall having a situation where looking at the parts, oh sorry, I forgot to mention about delivery. So the same guy Amir, if you're interested, you can message me and I'll give you his number and stuff, because he's a really nice guy. He'll end up charging you, I don't know, £1 a mile or something. But because he had to do this in 2 trips, another guy had to pick this up, end up charging me 400 quid for the 2, which, given that it's in York, which is 226 miles from me, but given it's a 600 quid car, to pay another 30% on top for delivery was a little toppy, and subsequently something I wouldn't do again. And I know going forward, once I've got these cars done and I sell them out, I'm definitely going to start looking at cars with a much bigger margin and something, in excess of, similar to the Mini John Cooper Works, in excess of 6, 7, 8, 9K, that's got a little bit of meat in it and get a bit more play. So if there is some damage that is not initially found by a novice like me, gives me a little bit of leeway and headroom to go and get it fixed by a specialist. If it maybe some frame damage or there's something mechanical that is a little bit out of my comfort zone. So there you go. That's my first video on YouTube on Now We Drive. Thank you so much for joining me. Please tune in the next few days, because what I'm going to be doing is taking a much closer look at the John Cooper Works, which is outside on my drive. We'll look at the Duke as well, which I've only stuck a couple of doors on and that's ready to go. So I'll show you that, but it's going to be pretty boring. The dark blue Cooper, I'll show you that as well. And the Fiat 500 is going to be nearly done as well. But the John Cooper Works one is the one I'm going to concentrate on this channel, because I'm super excited about this. So please subscribe. The more viewers, the better. And any feedback, positive or negative, I don't mind. I look forward to. So join us again here now on Now We Drive.